All right, it's Wednesday. It's week 7 of the tennis season. We had some fantastic action so far in WTA Dubai, a Masters 1000 event there, two 500 events in Doha and Rio, and a 250 event. Very stacked field at the 250 event in Delray Beach. Let's get right into it. So this right here is a chart demonstrating the strength of each of the tournaments. And the further right you are in the on this chart, the better the players are in the tournament. So for example, if we look at the dashed vertical lines, if we look at the blue one, the light blue one, that's going to be without a doubt the strongest field of the four tournaments. And uh, we can also see on the right-hand side of this graph as well how it has like the highest points off to the right, the highest density above a player ranking of 2. It's not an ATP player ranking. It's an in-house player rating metric. But yeah, so we're gonna see that blue one is definitely the strongest one, and that purple one is kind of lagging behind. The average is all the way to the left, and there's a lot of players below that zero player rating. And then the green and the red are pretty similar, with the red average being slightly higher than the green, but the green having the higher on the extremes on the good players. So we could see maybe that green tournament having some of the best players in the world in that tournament. Now, I feel like it would be surprising to mention that the red one is actually the ATP 250 Delray Beach. So the average player rating from a combined metrics of ATP ranking, tennis abstract, ELO rating, how they've been playing the last couple of weeks, their form. Um, when you put it all into the mix, the Delray Beach actually had a higher average than Doha, with Rio lagging behind, and it's no surprise that the 1000s level event in Dubai is higher than all those other tournaments. Now, this was for the full draw, so this is looking at all the players in the tournament. And like for example, if we look at Doha and we look over here, we can see a pretty a high density of players in this range right here, meaning that there could be it could be backfilled with some players that aren't great in the tournament. So to do that, and also just by looking at the draws on paper, I definitely think the Doha one is a stronger tournament than Delray Beach, even though Delray Beach does have some good, really good players in it. Now, this is, I think, a better way to look at the tournaments and the players that are playing in the tournaments is by looking at just the top 50% of the players. So you rank all the players, and so for example, if there were 32 players in a tournament, you just look at the top 16. So this is what this is. This is just the best 50% from each tournament. Once again, no surprise that Dubai is going to be the number one strongest tournament this week, has the highest average, and has a high density in this range, which is good to see. Doha, not surprisingly, we see a big bump here, and that's simply due to the likes of Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner playing in this tournament, which gives this bump right here. And then Rio as well is lower, much lower than Doha and the average, kind of just showing the lack of strength in that field this week for that 500 tournament. And then this is why I like this, looking at the best 50% of each rather than the last chart, because we truly understand what's happening in Delray Beach. We're having a lot of players in this range, a lot of above average players, but not great players, which is what we would see in like Dubai or the Doha tournament, where there's going to be more density in this area, especially this area. If we look at the top ends of Delray Beach versus Doha. So yeah, there's a lot of like above average players, but not great players. Players that win a lot of matches, but maybe not always go insanely far in the tournament. I think that's what we see more in Delray Beach. With the likes of like Alex Mickelson, Brandon Nakashima, Marion Cilic. Those players are going to be in this range. Great players, but they lack the top end quality that Doha has, such as Alcaraz, Sinner, and other players like Andre Rublev would be kind of in that mix as well. But yeah, so it's kind of just the overall. I feel like it's cool to just see, when you put the numbers behind the tournaments and which ones are the strongest. So this week, obviously, I think Dubai is strongest, Doha is second, and Delray's probably third, Rio fourth, which is always interesting because Rio, of course, pays more ranking points. So it's interesting to see when the players play on which tournaments and which ones they decide to do. All right, now let's get into the notable matches. We're going to start with WTA Dubai. It's been a good amount on WTA Dubai. You know, of course, it's Masters 1000 event, very important tournament for the women. And there's also been a lot of matches. It started a little earlier, started a day earlier, a lot of matches on Sunday, and we're already into the round of 16 and quarterfinals of this tournament. So, first notable match, well, this wasn't exactly a match, but we got to mention some of the players that ended up withdrawing from the tournament since the last time we've been talking about the tournament. So let's start, of course, with Victoria Mboko, finalist last week at WTA Doha. She withdrew, obviously, because she's been playing a lot of tennis recently. So I understand her withdrawing. And then Kochi Reto also, made the deep run in the semifinals. Also had to go through qualifying. Also lost in qualifying in Doha, but she ended up withdrawing. Mukova, the winner last week, again, her and Mboko, not really surprising that they withdrew, given they made it all the way to the finals. And then we also have Sakari as well. And yeah, obviously, Koji Reto didn't make it to semifinals, but Sakari did make it to the semifinals, and Sakari ended up withdrawing from this event. It would have been interesting to see her face Iva Jovic in that first round, but anyway, Sakari ended up withdrawing. So in terms of the first match, to mention, Claire Towson over Sophia Kenin. It's been a tough start to the year for Sophia Kenin. Towson got the straight sets win with a win in the first set and a tiebreaker. Then Belinda Bencic back from missing a couple tournaments, lost that first set, was getting a little worried about Belinda, but she ended up winning the second and third pretty easily over Buzas Monero. Good work from Bencic in that first round. Leylah Fernandez over 13 seed Samsonova. This was an important one for Fernandez, who had started the season not so well. Important for Fernandez to get a big win over a seeded opponent. This was definitely a very interesting first round match in Dubai with Ostapenko and Kalinskaya. Obviously, Ostapenko making the deep run last week in WTA Doha. Kalinskaya was able to come back after losing that first set and won the second and the third. Excellent win from Kalinskaya, and that led to her next match opponent to be with Coco Gauff, as we'll get into later. Then Ruzis over Raducanu. Raducanu have been playing had a good tournament in Romania a couple weeks ago and won a set here, but was not able to get the win. Definitely disappointment for Raducanu as Ruzic got the win. Then Sarah Bejlik over Son Mez. This was definitely a first round match I circled beforehand. Bejlik obviously with a big 500 win a couple weeks ago. And good to see her, put another good performance in this one against Son Mez. Then the one that I was alluding to before, Coco Gauff over Kalinskaya. Impressive from Coco to do it in straight sets. Really, really awesome win for Coco Gauff. And that set herself out well going to the round of 16. I do have to mention Coco Gauff is currently playing as I speak right now against Lucy Mertens, and only barely was able to get that second set tiebreaker. Barely. She had a couple of double faults, and that really could have gone either way. Lisa Mertens had multiple opportunities to win that tiebreaker, but was not able to do so. And so we'll see if Coco Gauff can pull a rabbit out of her hat and move on to the quarterfinals. That'll be huge for her as she tries to bounce back from some tough results this last couple of weeks. Then how about Ayala over Paolini, the sixth seed, which is awesome win for Ayala. This was definitely another one that I circled for the second round matchups. Just wondering if Ayala could bring some momentum together and get that win over the sixth seed. The second one did end up going to a tiebreaker, but impressive from Ayala. Then Iva Jovic, impressive over Deanna Schneider. Got that donut in the third set. Good bounce back after being 1-6 in the second set. Good work from Iva Jovic over Deanna Schneider. And then Belinda Bencic was able to get past Sarah Bejlik because Bejlik had to withdraw from the tournament. So Bencic was into the round of 16, as we'll get to later. And the last round of 32 match to mention is Kirstea over Noskova, where Kirstea went one in straight sets over Noskova, the 10 seed in this tournament. As we get to the round of 16, Svitolina over Belinda Bencic. Belinda Bencic was able to get that first set, but Svitolina bounces back. It has really been a fantastic start to the year for Svitolina, as she not only continues to move up in the rankings points, but continues to prove that she's going to be a threat this season at these big tournaments. Then Jessica Pegula, another player that's had a lightning fast start to the year, defeated Eva Jovic in straight sets. Super impressive win for Jessica Pegula in this one. And as some of the seeds are faltering, as we'll get onto later, and with Coco Gauff in trouble as we speak, this is definitely a tournament Pegula should definitely be circling that she can totally win. Then Mira Andreeva over Christian in straight sets, also win for Andreeva. Anisimova straight sets over Janice Chen. And then Clara Towson over Magda Linette, also in straight sets. Before, definitely a surprise, we had Ruzic over Rybakina, one seed Rybakina out of the tournament. Gotta give credit to Ruzic here. She played at a very high level. The walkover was because Rybakina had to withdraw due to some she wasn't feeling well, sickness, illness in that third set, so I ended up retiring. So got a little bit of fortune there for Ruzic. Who knows how that third set would have gone, and who knows how this match would have went if Rybakina was up to 100%. But that's a lot of ifs there, and congrats to Ruzic for making the quarterfinals in WTA Dubai. And now as we head to the quarterfinals, obviously one of the quarterfinals is not yet set. That would be Coco Gauff's quarterfinal, as we still have to wait for some matches to conclude in that one. But to start, one of the quarterfinals we're going to get is Ruzic versus Svitolina. Definitely lean Svitolina in this one, and big opportunity for Svitolina to make it to the semifinals. Then Clara Towson over Pegula, or against Pegula, and this one is again Pegula has got to be feeling pretty good. She's been playing some great tennis to start the year, and this is an opponent that she should feel like she's definitely gonna be favored against, or she should feel she would be favored against, and definitely have some belief to win this one and make the semifinals and continue the run. And also, as I should mention, both of those matchups are the first time they've ever faced each other at a tour level event. And then the other quarterfinal that has been set is Mira Andreeva versus Amanda Anisimova. They have faced one time before in Miami last year in a round of 32, where Anisimova was able to defeat Mira Andreeva. It did go to three sets, and the first set was a tiebreaker. This is a blockbuster match for sure, and it would not be crazy to say that these are the top two players left in the tournament, like to win the entire tournament. I would like to put Pegula in there, and I would probably have both of these two ahead of Coco Gauff at the moment as well. And we don't even know if Coco Gauff will even make to the quarterfinals. But a fantastic quarterfinal match here, tough match that they're drawn against each other as the 2 and the 5 seed. This one can really go either way. And then, just to mention the other quarterfinal, it's between Coco Gauff and Elise Mertens. Let's see real quick if there's any score update in the Gauff match. So Gauff was able to get the victory. So excellent work for Coco Gauff. That was a true Houdini, a Houdini escape in that second set. Mertens was literally one good shot away. It wasn't even like it was that difficult of a shot. But she was one shot away of winning that match. Gotta be devastating for Mertens, but excellent from Coco Gauff. And this leads to an opportunity for Coco. Faces the winner of Kirstea and Iala. She'll be favored in either one of those. For matchups for Coco Gauff, I feel like she would rather face Iala than Kirstea on the hard courts. But not by a crazy discrepancy. And it's not like Kirstea and Iala, the winner of that, they got it. They're not gonna. I think that they are both going to feel like they definitely have a chance, and more than a chance in that one. Facing Coco Gauff right now, who's dealing with dealing with some double fault issues, and Coco Gauff is one of those players that while she is Coco Gauff's one of those players where she can break against. She's gonna have so many breaks in a match. She can win matches when she's broken 4 to 5 times in the match, or even a couple times in the set. She's always gonna be fighting. Coco Gauff is in every single set, competitive. But if Crusade Real bring their top A game uh, and take care of their serve specifically, which is easier said than done, Coco Gauff is the hardest person to take care of your serve against. There are chances in it. Definitely going to be a battle, but for this quarterfinal. But yeah, got some interesting ones here. Definitely that Andreeva and Isamova. Super excited to see the winner of that one, and we could be set up for some blockbuster semifinals as well. As we head to the men's side of the tournaments this week, we'll start in ATP Doha. So some players that have withdrawn. We got Jaume Munar, who's supposed to face Kashanov. Munar withdrew, and Alexander Bublik also withdrew from the tournament. So two pretty big players would have been seeded at this tournament. They withdrew. And then to some notable matches. Start with Medvedev straight sets over Jerry Shang. This one could have got tricky, but it didn't. Medvedev took care of business. Yannick Sinner over Makic. I remember looking at the draw beforehand and thinking this one could be a tricky one. And then Sinner goes 6-1 in the first, 6-4 in the second. Light work for Yannick Sinner. Arthur Fils over Kamil Majak. Fils lost first set tiebreaker, tough one, but bounced back very well. Fils also ended up winning his round of 16 match against Quentin Hallis. So he's in the quarterfinals of ATP Doha. See how far he can go and see how he plays as he continues to try to refine his level. And then we mentioned Sinner, got to mention Alcaraz, of course. Alcaraz straight sets over Rinderknecht, but not as dominant of a performance in that second set. Did end up going to a tiebreaker, but Alcaraz got the job done. And then Marijan Humbert, definitely a unseeded first round matchup that I was really looking at and looking forward to seeing. And it's kind of what I was expecting. I expected Marijan to get the win, but did I expect it to be this dominant? No, I didn't. Excellent from Fabian Marijan, as Ugo Humbert still tries to figure out how to play indoor hardcore tennis outdoors. And then Sisu Bergs over Petri Paracard. Bergs was able to get it done in 3 sets. Always tricky to play Paracard. Second set went to a tiebreaker. Bergs was able to get enough breaks in this one to find a way to the win. And as we head to the round of 16 matches, as a lot of the round of 16 matches are already done, just got to wait on the Alcaraz and Sinner matches at the time that I'm recording this. But Stefanos Tsitsipas over Daniil Medvedev. This one, I mean, first off, the fact that they were playing in the round of 16 of this tournament was something exciting to see. And was not expecting Tsitsipas to really take it to Medvedev and go 6-3, 6-4. A little bit of a throwback result for Tsitsipas, as he's had a couple of these results so far to start this year. But the only thing with Tsitsipas is that he hasn't been able to string multiple of these results together. We'll see if he can do that in the next round. And then Lehechka over Zizou Bergs. The result in and of itself isn't crazy, but the fact that he went 6-2, 6-1 to get the result it's super impressive. Lehechka, it's would love to see him back at his top level, and he might be nearing that, if not already there. And then we mentioned Marijan already. I didn't expect a uh, losing 2 sets to nothing against Andrei Rublev in the round of 16. Super impressive result from Rublev, who's had success at this tournament before, winning it last year. And then that sets up some interesting quarterfinal matchups. So for one, we got Tsitsipas Rublev. Both players definitely going to be feeling like they can win it. But this is a little bit of a throwback match. Tsitsipas Rublev. If I told you this was a 2021 Cincinnati Masters semifinal, oh, you wouldn't be crazy. But now we're in 2026. We're in Doha, and they're playing a little bit of a throwback match for Tsitsipas and Rublev, and then in all likelihood, it'll be Carlos Alcaraz versus Karen Khachanov. In that match, definitely think Carlos Alcaraz will win that one. Though Khachanov always sneaky on February in Doha and Dubai and all these tournaments. So, and then in the bottom half, the draw, this is just a fascinating matchup. Well, Hechka versus Arthur Fils, both youngsters that now I would say more with Arthur Fils. Let me restart. All of the There's been a lot of talk, obviously, who's going to be the next youngster to bring it to Alcaraz, to bring it to center, right? You think of Jack Draper, Felix. Not so long ago, you were saying Arthur Fils and Yuri Lehechka. Now, Arthur Fils obviously was playing at a very high level last year and then got injured. So he's on the recovery back from injury. While Lehechka, he seems to put together a couple months of consistency and then fall away. He himself has had some injury concerns as well. So these are two players I'm very interested to see how their careers progress and if they can take that step up, because I think both of them have levels to them to be not only top 10 players, but to make it even further. And in the then we got Mensik versus Triple Z. Mensik won the first set in that one. That match is going on right now. It might even be finished. Let me check. Mensik did end up defeating Triple Z, so he's into the quarterfinals. He'll face the winner of Popper and Sinner. Now, this one is not a foregone conclusion. Popper on his day can bring it, but with that being said, definitely believe Sinner. And that would make a very, very fascinating match, Sinner versus Mensik. We got some fantastic quarterfinal matches, really, really, all up and down this tournament. And that's why I kind of thought, that's what I was saying before about the level that Doha is. Doha is definitely the top tournament of this week for the men's side. Um, but it was interesting to see Delray Beach's distribution of player ratings as well. Speaking of ATP Delray Beach, it's a little bit earlier in that tournament. Obviously, there's going to be matches later today with that one. But let's start. Elliot Spitziri ended up withdrawing from the tournament. Then we got Alex Michelsen over Valentin Vastro. Excellent first round win for Michelsen. Definitely watch out for Michelsen as this tournament progresses, and won that first set in a tiebreaker. Was able to defeat the six-seeded Vastro in a closely contested match. Coleman Wong then was able to defeat Nuno Borges in three sets in the first round. This is another just impressive win for Coleman Wong. He's been stringing together some impressive wins as of late, so good work for Coleman. A little bit disappointed for Nuno Borges, but whenever you lose a match with a first set tiebreaker, any tiebreaker really, and you win a set as well on that, can't be too mad. Then surprise here, we had Svaja over Kovacevic. I was expecting maybe a sneaky run for Kovacevic at Delray Beach, but it turns out he might just be more of a Los Cabos guy than a Delray Beach, and he was not able to get the win against Svaja. And then Ethan Quinn versus Rafael Yodar. This was a surprise for sure. We've seen Rafael Yodar get results in the past, but the way Ethan Quinn's been playing so far this year, I never expected this in a million years. And the fact he did it in straight sets, the fact he did it with Ethan Quinn only winning 5 games, watch out for this kid, Rafael Yodar. Not only in this tournament, but as the season progresses and as the years progress. And then a tricky one for Tommy Paul against Quarantine Mute. This is a tough matchup for Paul because I feel like just the way Mute plays probably just annoys Paul a little bit. Paul wants to play from the baseline. He wants to be the dynamic one. He doesn't want to have to deal with the tricks and the gimmicks of Mute. And then lost that first set, was able to get the second, the third pretty handily. Probably settled into the match. Was able to get the job done there for Tommy Paul. And then Brandon Nakashima over Marian Cilic. This one very tightly contested. Nakashima, excellent server. Went to two tiebreakers and he executed in the clutch points, leading to Nakashima winning over Cilic. Excellent win for Nakashima. Watch out for Nakashima in this tournament as well. And then as we head to ATP Rio, some South American clay court swing matches in February. Start off with Alexandre Muller pulling out of the tournament. Dusan Lajovic over Daniel Altmaier. Now this was a crazy one because in that second set tiebreaker, Altmaier goes for a slice, hits a fantastic slice winner, sets himself up with a match point. Except when he hit the slice, he yelled out a disgruntled a disgruntled noise on thinking that he hit it short, only for it to be perfect, led to a led to the chair umpire awarding the point to Lajovic for a hindrance, and he ended up winning the set. Absolutely devastating for Altmaier, player that we'll get into a little bit later as well, believe it or not. And then Tirante over Christian Garin in straight sets. Just a tough one for Christian Garin. Has not been able to get the season going so far. Four-seeded Sebastian Baez losing to Jaume Faria. Now, this one is surprising because Sebastian Baez has had a better start to the season on the hard courts than he has to the clay courts. Who would have thought that? Excellent win for Jaume Faria. Joao Fonseca gets his first win of the season versus Thiago Monteiro. That first set did go to a tiebreaker, got a little dicey in the first set, but Fonseca able to get the job done. We'll see if he can continue his run at his hometown or his home country tournament. And then another surprise, Juan Manuel Cerundolo able to get the win over two-seeded and one of the favorites for this tournament, Luciano Darderi. Juan Manuel Cerundolo won the first set 6-1, lost second set 3-6, and won the third set 6-4. This was a tough matchup for Darderi. I just thought Darderi's level was gonna be too high for Cerundolo. Maybe some wear and tear from his ATP Buenos Aires final run is a possibility for this upset. But like Juan Manuel Cerundolo is a good clay court player. And he pulled out an excellent result here. Excellent win over Luciano Darderi. And then Matteo Berrettini, excellent result against Barrios Vera, got it in straight sets. Both sets very closely contested. Good to see Berrettini back winning. And then the last thing I'm going to mention for this section is the winless watch. So it is today, it is currently February 18th. We've had almost 2 months of tennis action so far. You got to, and we got a lot of tournaments. We've had at least 6 weeks of tennis. We had 2 weeks before the Australian Open. We had the Australian Open, and then we've had 2 weeks since. So it's been 5 tournament weeks. Um, and there's some challengers mixed in as well. What players have not won a match yet is what we're going to be looking at. We're going to start with the men's side, and one of the players that has not won a match yet is Carlos Taberner. He has only played in 2 matches. He played in the qualifiers in Adelaide, losing to Shevchenko, and then also lost to Lorenzo Sonego in the first round of the Australian Open. Our next winless player is going to be Christian Garin, already mentioned prior. He lost in qualifiers in Hong Kong to Michael Momoa. He lost in qualifiers in Auckland to Elliot Spitzeri. First round to Darderi at the Australian Open, and then Tirante on his preferred surface, the clay, in Rio. And then our last winless player is going to be none other than Daniel Altmaier. Now, Altmaier lost in the first round to Kamil Majchuk in Brisbane, lost in the first round to Menard in Adelaide, lost in the first round to Marin Cilic in the Australian Open, and then at Buenos Aires, he lost to Juan Manuel Cerúndolo in the first round when he was seeded and the 5 seed in that tournament, and then just lost to lucky loser Dusan Lajovic in the first round of ATP Rio. Definitely a tough start to the year for Altmaier. 0-5 to start the year. And then for the women's side, we have Lu Sun. Was not able to get it done in the Australian Open, losing to Fruhvirtova in the first round, lost to Lin Zhu in the first round of the Manila 125 tournament, and then lost to Magdalene Net in the first round of Dubai. Then also we have Anna Blinkova, who lost to Sasnovich in Brisbane in the first round, had to qualify for Adelaide, but lost in the first round of qualifiers to Mina Hodzic, and then lost to Talia Gibson in the first round of the Australian Open, and last played at the at Ostrava in the first round, losing to Nikola Bartunkova. And then lastly, Arengo. She lost to McCartney Kessler in the first round of Brisbane, lost in the first round of Hobart to Ruzic. McCartney Kessler in the first round of the Australian Open. Tamara Korpach at Ostrava in the round of 16, where Arenga was the 2 seed in that tournament. And then Jinyu Wang in the first round of WTA Doha. So some tough start to the seasons for these six players as they all look for their first victory.